All right, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining today's 30-minute webinar. My name is Michelle Beebe. I am the Multimedia Director here at the Change Companies. And for those of you that may not know, we provide evidence-based solutions for behavior change using interactive journals. And for the last 30 years, we've been supporting our clients in providing the best behavior change programming to the people that they serve. And so today we're going to talk about building the Therapeutic Alliance. And Scott Covert is going to kind of walk us through how do you strengthen those relationships that you have with your clients and how do you strengthen or build that Therapeutic Alliance more consistently. And so before we begin, I first want to make a note that if you have any questions during this webinar, please feel free to type them in the questions box located in your GoToWebinar control panel. And I'll hold those to the end of the presentation. And then we'll kind of answer those in our Q&A, and we'll try to get through as many as we can in the time that we have. So now let me introduce your presenter for today, Scott Covert. Scott is the Vice President of Training at the Change Companies. You may have had the privilege to attend one of his many trainings over the last 14 years. And he has offered over 300 live trainings to providers in mental health, addiction treatment, parole and probation, youth intervention, impaired driving, and much more. So without further ado, let me welcome Scott Covert.
All right. Here I am, Scott Covert. Hi, Michelle. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
This is also formal.
I know.
Right? Kind of fun. And thank you all for joining us today. There's quite a few of you out there, and we're trying to sort out the technology and how this all works, but we'll get it. We're going to talk about the Therapeutic Alliance. So this is our inaugural webinar. We're going to try to do a bunch of these free webinars. We're going to try to keep them brief in the spirit of micro learning. Just get to the point and tell you what you need to know or might want to know. And I picked the Therapeutic Alliance as our first one because really, I mean, it all starts with the relationship that we have with individuals that we're trying to help with change. And so I've learned that over my many years of training on interactive journaling here at the Change Companies. But, you know, I've learned it personally as well through changes I've made of my own. And so I'm a person in long-term recovery, and I've been living that lifestyle for 15 years now. And so I'm going to kind of, you know, share all of that as we go through. But I'm certainly not going to make it about myself. I guess that would be the first thing to recognize when we're building an alliance with other individuals, is that it's not about us. It's all about the individual. It's all about being client-centered and outcome-informed, because that's what drives change. That's what influences change. And so the term comes out of psychotherapy. The idea has been around for a long time. I think Carl Rogers probably maybe was the first person to really talk or publish it back in the 50s. Lots of research has been done in that time. But even before that, I mean, it really goes back even to the beginnings of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12-step program. It was really the relationship that you had with an individual who was, you know, trying to stop drinking or stop using drugs, and building that relationship, that partnership with the individual that allowed them to have the space and the empowerment to make those changes. And so who can have a Therapeutic Alliance? Well, again, it sounds like something that maybe only clinicians or therapists could do, but that wouldn't be true. Of course, therapists, counselors, social workers, usually through their training, are taught to build this working relationship with another individual. But probation officers and correctional officers now are being asked to work with individuals to help them make changes in their lives so they don't recidivate, so they can move on and be productive individuals in society and not have to keep, going through the system, through the court system, and using up all our resources. But peer mentors as well. I mean, we're using a lot of peers now and helping with our groups, helping work with other individuals, and even 12-step sponsors, of course, would need to have a therapeutic alliance. So we can call it by different names. I mean, therapeutic alliance is the term that's normally used, but probation officers might call it role clarification, or a working alliance, or a working relationship, the rapport and the trust that we build with another individual. So anyone who's engaged or is working with an individual, helping them engage in finding their own path, their own journey on self-change, that's what we're going to be talking about. And so why is it important? If you're a student of common factors, and I don't want to get into the research really, I really want to get more to what are some things that you can start doing today that will be helpful. But just know that what common factors, what we learned is that, modalities that are evidence-based, they all work. So what can make a difference then in the change process? Well, it's the alliance, it's the use of empathy, it's being genuine, it's giving people hope. That's what moves the dial. That's what can make the difference. And so a couple of interesting things, and I'll read them so I get them right. But Bruce Wampold, University of Wisconsin, did a study. And when the clinicians were asked to rate, what was most important, they identified their technical skills. When you asked the client what was most important, they said it was the relationship they had with the individual that was working with them, with their counselor. And so we know it's the quality of the therapeutic alliance as perceived by the client that's the best predictor for retention and outcomes. Okay? So that's a big reason why we want to have that working relationship. And so what are the qualities then of a therapeutic alliance? What's it made up of? And the easiest way to think about this is think about what engages you. Right? This is our first and foremost important thing to do is engage the individual in the process of self-change. So what engages you? And what it really comes down to is, do I feel respected? Do I trust this individual that I'm working with, that I can share all of these things that are going on with me, that I can talk about the difficult things, right? That I can be honest with another individual, and what's going on in my life. Why do I make the choices that I make each day? Am I being listened to, right? Or am I just being talked to? Do I have a say in what's going on? Or is this like a one size fits all and I just need to comply and do what I'm being told to do? So do I have options, right? Can we do something that is better for me or feels more right for me? And ultimately, is this a collaboration then? Are we working together? Is this a partnership that we're on? Or again, is it just a one-way street, my way or the highway? I'm using my authority to try to make things happen. So this is it. If you again, if you look at all the research and if you talk to the experts in the field on change, they would generally talk in terms of, we always want to be client-centered and outcome-informed. And this is the ultimate goal in our approach. And that's what That's what we'll be really looking at. If you want to think of it in terms of a statement, here's a question you can ask yourself. You can write this down, if you have some paper and pen handy. You can write this down, and sorry, I don't mean to have you see that our server's shutting down. Hopefully that doesn't mean that we're going to be turning off. Let me see if I can find my arrow. What the heck? Let me see. There we go. That got rid of it. Okay. This is what you could write down. I gave you time to get your pen and paper while I was trying to get that thing off the screen. What we really want to ask in each and every situation where we're with another individual that we're working with on change is, what will work for this person on this day, in this setting, at this stage or readiness to change, right? So in the moment, because that's a moving target and it can change by day to day. Change is one step forward, two steps back, right? Change is a process. And so, how can we help the individual when we have that time to spend with them, right? That precious time that we have. And so here's your Carl Rogers. Again, I wasn't so much wanting to prove that the therapeutic alliance is important. You'll just have to take my advice or Google it. You can Google it on your own. And like Michelle said, we'll give you some references at the end and things that you can check out. But this is kind of the secret ingredients of building a good relationship. And so the first thing we learned from Carl was we want to have unconditional positive regard. And so that would be versus, hey, we're the expert, so you just need to listen to us and tell us, listen to us and we'll fix you. Right? That's what we're here for. That's what we're trained to do. It doesn't work, right? We have to really believe, and this is really important, in our hearts, we have to believe that the individual is the most important person, that every person is deserving and capable of being better, of being their best selves, that they have all the resources and strengths that they need within them to get better, right? To recover. And then also we need to have accurate empathy. So, sometimes we get that confused with sympathy, right? It's not sympathy. Sympathy is when we start to attach, where we actually are, feeling and attaching to what the other individual is going through. Really what we end up doing is making it about ourselves. And again, that puts us in the wrong chair, right? This isn't about us, this is about the individual. But I need to try to understand your perspective. I need to see life through your eyes. I need to walk in your shoes. That's empathy. And there's a number of ways that we can get to that, and I'll share that later. And then this last thing, this congruence, kind of a fancy term, I guess. But so what's it mean? It's really about being caring, being non-judgmental, and most importantly, being authentic, being yourself, not trying to pretend you're somebody different. Again, not trying to play that expert role like you have all the answers, you have all the knowledge. You need to give that to the other individual so they'll get well. But just the opposite, So, what would be an example of that being real? So it's easy to make mistakes. We're all human. So we can be having a conversation with someone and then I say something to offend them or something that they might feel resentful or they feel judged or put down. And I can see it. I mean, I can see it just in their face. As soon as I said it, I made a mistake. Right? So sometimes we just kind of hope it goes away and people will forget about it. They don't. So can you imagine in that moment acknowledging, hey, I just made a mistake. Maybe came at you a little bit harder than I needed to, and I'm sorry. You know, I didn't mean to do that. Can we start over? Can we try this again? Right? That's being real. You know, that's being authentic. It's allowing yourself to be vulnerable as well. Okay, so here's another person you can check out if you want. His name was Edwin Borden, or is Edwin Borden, and he you know looked at what moves the dial on change as well. You know what's helpful. What are some of the components of this therapeutic alliance? Okay, well we've been talking about the bond, the relationship that you have, and you know as we get through this, since all the people that were invited makes up our database, and at the change companies, our customers can be treatment centers, counselors, mental health professionals, social workers. It can be individuals that are peer mentors. It's certainly a lot of probation officers or correctional staff, the criminal justice group. Um, and it could be a lot of impaired drivers, no, sorry, not impaired, impaired driving instructors or impaired driving schools, because we're in 22 states, we're the curriculum for their impaired driving programs. And, but in all of those cases, um, you can have this working relationship, and it's really important to build on it. So what's an easy way to get going on it? It's coming to an agreement on goals. So again, working with people on what they want, you know, what are their desires? What can they do? Could they do? You know, where did they see themselves in a year? And help them work with those, and then break it down to come to an agreement on tasks. So, you know, I'll just, you know, usually treatment professionals, you do treatment plans, and you put objectives in there, and oftentimes objectives, right? And we try to be client-centered, do individualized treatment planning, try to provide individualized services. But you know, again, from a collaborative standpoint, if you could help people, if you could collaborate with them, ask them what they need. Same thing with officers, you know, when you're setting up your case plan, spend some time with the individual, find out what they want, what they're trying to achieve, what would they like to do during their time under supervision. And then, okay, so that's great. That's a good goal. You know, you want to go back to the community college. You want to learn how to program robotics, and get a good job at the you know the Tesla plant, working those robots that put those cars together. That's a great goal. So what do you need to do to get there, right? What would be the task? And it's hard, you know. How many of us do goal setting and break it down into tasks? But then it's that partnership, because you're still there with them. You can follow up on that. You can see where they are in their goals. You can see if they're working their plan, right? We can give people that encouragement. That's all the key parts of it. And so, you know, what are the takeaways? So let's get into it. I've already started sharing. I was afraid I was going to do this. I was going to get off script. I got my little script here, you know, so that I can do things in time. And Michelle's going to bark at me if I'm getting too far behind. And so she's right. I got 10 minutes, so let's get to it. We'll wrap this up. First and foremost, it's this idea of trust. If people don't trust you, if they think you're out to get them and make their life miserable, which is often what we think, you won't have the relationship. So, you know, this idea of acknowledging the obvious, most people don't want to be on probation. most people, even if they come under their own steam, really don't want to be in a treatment center or working on sobriety. You know, every brain cell in their head is screaming at them to get up, walk out, and go have a drink or take a drug. And so acknowledge that you appreciate, you know, what's going on, what's happening, and that they're there, right? And that you understand, you know, that this is difficult and can be hard. So, you know, I mentioned AA 12 steps a few times. I mean, really, that's the crux of it. That's the, you know, secret sauce of a 12-step program is the fellowship. Because when people show up all shaky and not sure what they're going to do, the first thing they hear is that this is a we program, that on your own you probably can't, but together we can, right? So share that message, right? Give people that, you know, acknowledge or validate where they're coming from. So, you know, trust takes understanding, and again, just let people know, you know, it's hard, you know, that life is rough for them. They're having difficulties. Things may not be working out the way they had hoped or planned, but that's okay. Wherever they are, it's okay. We can work together. Together, we can find the solutions and believe in them. You know, a lot of people, they're demoralized when they come in. You know, this isn't something really new. Things haven't been working for a long time, and they try different things and they've tried programs and it just isn't happening for them. Hope fuels change. If people feel hopeless, they won't put in the effort. You know, it's hard work making these changes. So again, just reinforce, look, you have what you need. You know what's best for you. Can we work together to find that? You see, versus, you know, the compliance model, which is we know what you need to do, and we're going to tell you what you're going to be doing, and then we're going to control you. We're going to give you urine analysis, or, you know, if it's impaired driving, we're going to put an ignition interlock, and all of those are good. Those are all extrinsic motivators that get people at least engaged in sampling sobriety or not being intoxicated when they're driving their car because it won't start. That's okay. If the extrinsic motivation brings you in, our goal or what we need to do then is engage the person and increase their intrinsic. So they're not doing it for us, they're doing it for themselves. That's really important. And oh, just checking my time here, see where we are. Okay. We also need to listen. So you can't help anybody if you're not listening to them. A great way to show that you're listening is to affirm the individual, right? So that might be as simple as, hey, thanks for coming in today and for being on time. I really appreciate it. Or catching them with their affirming their change talk, like, oh, so you signed up to take those classes at the community college. That's incredible. You know, I know that was really hard for you, and kudos for you. You know, for bettering your life, and reflect on what you hear. So that might be, you know, that takes some practice, but a lot of times we ask the question. We might say something like, you know, am I hearing you say that you don't think you could ever be sober because you have these, you know, intense cravings for, you know, a drug or alcohol? If you want to reflect, so when you ask that question, it's instantly making it about you. So an easy way to do that is, you know, ask the question, but just drop off that front part. Am I hearing you say? Just drop it and do the rest. You know. You can't stay sober because of cravings. So that lets the person know, look, I'm hearing you. I'm trying to understand where you're coming from. It also gives them an opportunity to share more about that. and tell you more. And that's it. That's the conversation. That's what we're looking for. We're helping people find their reasons for change, right? But if people feel judged or they feel labeled, if it's in our heart that, they're criminals, they deserve to be punished, or, they're alcoholics and addicts, they're not going to change, that comes across. People can tell, and again, you'll just push people away, and that's the last thing we want to do. So we really need to watch our biases, right? Again, this is kind of the look in the mirror stuff, and it's okay to have it. I'm not telling you it's good or bad. It's not. This thing, pay attention to emotions. Feelings and beliefs. It's not a good or bad kind of thing. They are what they are. But again, if we want to be there for another individual, we have to set aside those beliefs. We have to set aside our feelings, and as best we can, so that we're just there for the individual, and we're just reflecting back. We're a mirror, and we help them work through what's going on. So another thing you can do immediately is just think about your nonverbals. Even in this telehealth world, I mean, you're looking at me now. You can see my eye movements. You can you can tell where's Scott at, and people are always watching you. So a smile, a nod, be open, especially as we start getting back to in-person kinds of things. Say a lot. But here's another one to think of. What's your environment? So, is the environment we're working in collaborative, or like in my office, am I sitting on the other side of the desk? Am I higher up? Am I wearing a uniform? Is everything behind me on the wall all about authority? Because it's really hard to overcome that. The person's thinking that's the deal. I need to listen to what this person's telling me to do. And then it's easy for us to kind of be the authority, be the expert, and help the person out by telling them what to do. And just know that you might get compliance out of that, but you're not going to get change. And so, again, just be authentic, be a human being or a human being, and be in that place where I really do want to help you. I really do want to partner with you. And, I want to, help you get better. And so, again, remember to help people with their goals. What do you want? How do you wish things would be? That's this motivational interviewing. It's darn language, right? So what are your wants and wishes? That's desires. What are your abilities? What can you do? Could you do? What are your reasons for making change? How important is it for you to change, right? So you're setting these goals. How important is your goal? It seems, like, really, does this all work? But amazingly, it does. And you don't have to believe me. You can take it in your research, but I'll guarantee you, I wouldn't have made the changes I, was needing to make in my life if people were coming at me and pushing me and threatening me. And no, I engaged because someone said, "Hey, man, you're looking pretty rough, and things aren't working out for you, and you're in the right place. And this is a program of hope, and things can get better, and we'll help you. We'll work with you." Right? And it was really as easy as that. All my defenses dropped, and I was open to, sharing and saying what was really going on. And that's it. So, last thoughts is, again, the Therapeutic Alliance is the beginning of the whole process of helping people with their own self-change. And I guess you could remember old Maya Angelou, or Angelo, I should say. I think that's the right pronunciation, right? That, at the end of the day, it's People aren't going to remember what you said or did. They're going to remember how you made them feel. And you know that because you've all had that same experience. And so just know that every day and every situation when you're with another person, it really is your choice whether that person feels empowered or whether they feel like they're, not. So that's it. Okay, I could hear Michelle in my ear. It means I must have run out of time. Are there any questions?
Yeah, it looks like we're getting close to our time as well, so we want to be respectful of everyone that's attending. We know you're very busy and each and every day, so we'll wait a minute and I'll take any other questions. Again, if you have questions, feel free to type them into the question box within your control panel, and we can share those with the group and see what Scott has to say. So I'll wait about a minute, and if not, in the meantime, I want to send a reminder that we will be providing a link to the recording of this webinar so you can visit it at a later time when you have a little bit more freedom. And also, we attached a handout for you that kind of summarizes what we discussed today, as well as some additional resources that might be helpful to you to reference when you're working on building that therapeutic alliance with your clients. And again, you can either download that in the GoToWebinar control panel, or we'll try to make it available some way in a link with the, as well as with the webinar that we're going to send to you later. Scott, it doesn't look like we have any questions today. So I want to thank you for your time. And again, we appreciate you being here with us today. And, when we talk about building a therapeutic alliance, one of the best ways that we can do that here at the Change Companies is with interactive journals. And so if you'd like to learn more about interactive journaling in general, you can visit our website at changecompanies.net, or feel free to give us a call at 888-889-8866, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. And we thank you again for being here, and we hope to see you next time. And just have a great day.